Hello and welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be talking about another medieval indie game called Lords and Peasants. Lords and Peasants is a medieval real-time strategy and city building game developed by Inverted Cat Games. It has both single player and multiplayer modes with up to 16 players. Start out as the lord of a small village and develop it into a prospering city. Manage your city and rule over the peasants. Forge alliances and intimidate your enemies. Recruit an army and conquer the lands to create your kingdom. This game boasts a wide variety of core features, including a large dynamic world with medieval towns and surrounding NPC villages. There's bandit camps and other neutrals. There's also individually simulated peasants with birth, age, and growing up. There's moving between villages and towns, and character traits, needs, and happiness. Each individual character can also change his profession or his or her profession and behavior. So each individual peasant is kind of his own person. He's not just like your standard AI. He can change a lot and he has his own personality. There is also diplomacy and conquest where you can subjugate surrounding NPC villages. There's domination of the world economy through trade links. You can ally with others and defeat hostile factions. This is going to be in single player and multiplayer. You may be able to contact other players online and forge alliances between your kingdoms. There's also a multiplayer with up to 16 players, as I just talked about. There's also modding tools available, which is always a huge plus for any game being released. Finally, the game features procedurally generated maps. So that is the list of the core features of Lords and Peasants, and it does sound like a very good, solid list of features that we could expect from a medieval real-time strategy and city building game. My assessment of this game after looking at the gameplay trailer is that it's very, very like Age of Empires in terms of building your cities up. I don't think it's the same as Age of Empires as in the connections between each individual player's city. I think it's more focused on diplomacy and working together, whereas whenever I've played Age of Empires online, it's all about who can kill each other first. Ultimately, this could descend into that, but I think there may be a bigger element of diplomacy and contacting other players through in-game measures, maybe by messengers or something like that. That would be really, really cool. Also, I think this has Total War elements in it, especially with the fighting and the battles. You can obviously create soldiers or recruit soldiers through barracks or something like that, and then you can send them out to attack other players, and it looks like they have similar formations to Total War, and I presume similar gameplay, and I presume you attack the other players in a similar way to Total War with the click and drag. Maybe there may be another method to it, but we will have to find out. As you can see from the footage, the amount of AI on the field isn't as drastic as the Total War series games are, although it does give me the impression that the sieges and the field battles are very fun, and also the sieges look like they're not completely broken like we have seen in other medieval games that have come out recently, especially indie ones such as Vale of Crows. Those sieges were quite broken and quite hard to get used to. However, this looks like it has got it sorted and the sieges kind of work. A lot less complicated than Vale of Crows, but still they look really fun. For the remainder of this video, we're going to go into some more in-depth detail on the game, and we're going to be analyzing some screenshots and taking a look at some more screenshots and seeing what they have to tell us about the game. So we're going to be talking about the multiplayer to begin with. On their website, it reads, "We have implemented both Unet and Lidgren as our networking solutions and have decided to go with Lidgren, which is light, fast, and really easy to use." So they then talk about the problems with Unet, and they also talk about how it always breaks down and things like that. So it looks like their network connections are going to be very good and we shouldn't experience too much lag, ping issues, etc. So now we're going to be talking about the terrain blend improvements. Now in the trailer of the game that you've been seeing today and probably is on screen right now, the terrain doesn't look that brilliant, but recently they have updated it, made it look a little bit more natural, and I think they've also updated the water to make it look a little bit less, I don't know the word, spazzy, like it kind of spazzed out a bit. It looked like it was going like 4 times faster. They've also added some more buildings recently. So they've added some a bakery, they've added a siege workshop, so you can now build your own siege weapons, which you can go ahead and attack enemy castles with. Maybe you can join with your fellow friend and attack another group of friends or something like that. Or you can even fight AI on your own. They've also added churches, so religion could be an element of this. That's something very difficult to approach in a game, as it can be controversial and quite hard to implement in terms of features. They've also added walls, catapults, and fire. So one of the features they've added recently is the option to have your troops march in formation. The system is pretty flexible and allows anything from long marching columns to wide frontal assault blocks. So that sounds like the Total War that we know. I just think the unit sizes are a lot smaller. Then they go into talking about combat and fortifications. Currently they are focusing on warfare and fortifications next to the palisade walls you've seen in the trailer. We've also added the more costly stone walls and towers, which provide a better way of defending your city. To counteract the new fortifications, we've introduced our first siege weapon, the catapult, which is the one we were talking about earlier with the siege workshops, and you've seen that in the trailers being marched along with some AI soldiers. I don't really know if they're towing it. Maybe they're towing it. I can't really see if there's ropes or not, but I think they kind of just move on their own for now, which is fine for an indie game. Nothing too drastic needed there. So they've also added fire, and I think the fire looked really cool in the siege video. So siege weapons will be easily capable of setting towns ablaze if left unchecked. Therefore, it is essential to provide wells and other means of extinguishing fires in your town. Maybe you can sally out and take out those siege weapons. That would be also a really good idea. One of the best things about this game is that it includes multiplayer and single player. I know that's one of the most simple things you can add to a game. However, it just means that you don't have to have a huge player base. You can play it on your own against AI and still have a lot of fun. And I'm sure the AI is going to be very good because I know that's a huge element of this game. The multiplayer boasts having hot join games that let AI continue playing for you after you leave. I think that might be an option that you can turn on or off depending if you can host your own servers. Maybe there are servers with it on and servers that have it off, but it means that the world kind of never stops and it carries on all the time, no matter when you're playing it. So it doesn't mean you have to sit there for ages and place every single building down. Maybe the AI do it for you, or maybe the AI are still collecting resources while you're offline, which I think is really cool. It doesn't mean you have to sweat out and grind all the time. Now we're going to talk about the modding tools a little bit more. So it says, customize the game mechanics such as production chains, resources, and names. Include your custom models and textures. Utilize the full power of the C# language for the scriptless modding experience. So it looks like it's going to be fully moddable, which is really good. We can have some really interesting mods made out of this. I'm sure the community will be able to come up with something phenomenal like they have multiple times in games such as Mountain Blade Warband. Before we wrap up this video on Lords and Peasants, we're going to take a look at the more interesting screenshots provided by their Steam page. So here you can see a city in its late stage, maybe it's like middle stage. You can see a siege workshop there in the middle, I think it is. And then you can see a large gate. I think that's a stone wall in the background. I think that might be a barracks in the background with the soldiers being trained in the courtyard. It definitely has that real city feeling, whereas in Age of Empires it felt like you're just placing buildings down and you didn't really have like an actual city. It was more like you've just placed buildings down and it's not really like a homely feel. That was just my opinion, and many of you may feel differently. So moving on to the next screenshot, we have an image quite high up of a town, and this is a simple town with some towers, some on the actual wall and some behind the wall. I presume the ones behind the wall are maybe archer towers. Maybe they're the same thing, but they're pretty cool. In the background you can see two gates, and then all the way at the back you can see a road connecting to another town. Building roads is probably like a pathway for these peasants to actually go and make trade links. I think you can see really far back in the other towns some different types of towers, some larger towers, and the scenery looks really, really nice as well. In the next screenshot we can see an example of a battle and the amount of units we can probably see on the field. Here we can see about 40, I don't know, maybe 100 people attacking a castle, and we can see a wide range of units. Some spearmen there. I think there's some clubmen, some axemen. Maybe they're javelin throwers, these people to the rear. I'm not entirely sure. I don't really see any archers though, unless I'm completely blind. The defender's castle has got its gate wide open, however. In this last screenshot, we have a stone castle with these wooden ramparts with an army leaving its walls. So they have two catapults. They have an army of swordsmen and clubmen. I don't really know about the scale. Like, these soldiers seem like a pretty big compared to the scale of the walls. That may be something they can work on. So that was Lords and Peasants, and it definitely looks like a medieval game with a bright future, and it's definitely coming into the mix of the up-and-coming medieval indie games that take inspiration from games that already exist, as well as putting in their own ideas. I think this genre is increasing in popularity. We're seeing more and more games pop up, and I think that is really, really good, especially for channels such as myself, and I'm sure the people that are watching this video really enjoy this kind of game as well, and it's basically something for us to get our teeth stuck into and have some fun over a wide variety of games. And the fact that they're indie also just makes it 10 times better, because we know they're going to be updated, we know they're going to be added to. At the same time, it's a little bit risky, but that risk is sometimes worth the price, especially with games such as Mount & Blade that did really, really well with that community backing. Anyway, guys, that will wrap it up for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm trying to get as many videos out to you guys as I can at the moment. However, it is difficult considering my upload speed is 0.09 megabytes per second because I live in rural UK, and rural UK has the renown for having the worst internet connections across the whole world. So that's the issue about me getting lots of videos out, but I am trying my best. I'd also like to say thank you to my patrons, Zata, I think that's how you say it, and Monster Has. Thank you for your donations. If you're interested in donating through Patreon, there's plenty of rewards for you guys over there. You can get involved with making a video with me, etc. So go ahead and check that out. The link is down in the description. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next battle.